Hello, friends. Welcome to our Giving Tuesday live stream, where the focus today will be on education and educational experiences with far-reaching impact. I really want to thank our generous donors who have allowed us the opportunity to have this $1.2 million matching gift possibility. Without their support, opportunities like this would not be possible. And I also want to thank all of you for stepping up and stepping in and participating in Giving Tuesday. Your philanthropy will go far, and the ability to participate today, you will really double the impact of your gift. You know, education is really core to everything that we do here at Colonial Williamsburg. It reminds us of why we are here and what we do each and every day. It's critical in our ability to present accurate stories about our shared American history. And today, I am honored to have two of my colleagues, Beth Kelly, and we all have fancy titles. Beth Kelly, who is the Royce R. and Catherine M. Baker Vice President for Education, Research, and Historic Interpretation, and Stacy Hasselbacher Hernandez, who is our Digital Content Director. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues.
Great. Well, thank you, Earl. It's really a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk to you a little bit more about what we do at Colonial Williamsburg. I think probably most of you are very familiar with the on-site experience that we provide guests, and that's probably how you became introduced to us. Maybe on a school trip or on a family trip, and you went in and around the trade shops and maybe took a carriage ride and took tours of the buildings. We have been doing that for 90 plus years. We've been providing that experience on site, and it is grounded in what Earl was saying, in sharing those shared stories about our past. And it's all grounded in research that we have been doing for 90 plus years. Really what we are about is sharing those stories of this remarkable community, and it really was a remarkable community. Events happened here that happened nowhere else in the world, and we really delight in being able to share those stories of those exceptional events that happened and the mundane lives that people were living at the same time. And I think we all can kind of understand how events shape us when we're just living our day-to-day lives. We just went through that almost 2 years ago with the pandemic. We were all just living our day-to-day lives, but this event happened, and it had a different effect on all of us in many ways, and that's true of our 18th century community as well. Events were happening. Those events were in the making for 10 plus years, but when the revolution came, it meant something different to the different residents of Williamsburg, and those are the stories that we like to share as guests come on site and visit with us. And it's all about sharing with our audiences. So we have got to have audiences in order to share our stories, and those audiences take a variety of different kinds. We have school groups that come and visit us. We have teachers that come here for professional development. And as I said, we have families and individual guests that come and visit us as well. And the aforementioned pandemic kind of stopped all that for a couple of months, and we had to do closure, but we still wanted to reach our audiences. So we were able to pivot and really put everything online, and still were able to communicate to folks what the story was about our 18th century community. So we are very delighted to be able to do that day in and day out. We're very proud of the work that we do. It is something that is ongoing. I know my colleagues earlier this morning talked about preservation and kind of always looking at the information that we know and asking new questions. That's what research is all about, and we are a research facility, an institution, as well as an educational institution. And that's why teachers often come to us wanting help in the classroom and wanting to help guide their students to understand more about the present. So for 30 plus years, we have been providing teacher professional development, and we are very thankful to Bob and Marion Wilson for helping us found that and begin that and continue that right through to today. And of course, for the last 2 years with the pandemic, we weren't on site, but we're bringing teachers back on site this summer, and they will be here. And we will also, though, have digital programming available to those teachers that can't make it to us on site, because our story is important. It is unique in the American story and unique in the American founding, and it's important that Americans understand what happened here in this community. So we are committed going forward to provide this on-site experience, but also a digital experience. So for the past a little over 2 years, we have been very fortunate, not quite 2 years actually, to be able to be providing this on site, and seated next to me is someone that is making it all happen. And probably you may recognize her from some programming. Both of us were interpreters in our past careers here, but Stacy has been a lot behind the scenes. So I think maybe if you just take a few minutes and talk about digital programming, Stacy.
Sure, thank you, Beth. Yes, I am not accustomed to being on this side of the camera. I am very accustomed to being behind the scenes on these live streams. So to those of you who join us on a regular basis for these live streams, it's really nice to get a chance to speak with you directly. As Beth referenced, when the pandemic hit us and we closed Colonial Williamsburg for on-site visitation, we did make a really quick pivot to deliver online content. And I'm going to take this opportunity to just say what an amazing experience it was. People with varying degrees of experience with online learning, with video production, with live streaming in general, came together, some with some experience, some with none, but generally it was folks from the historic area who all came together to really make that happen in the beginning. And so I just think that's a huge testament to the amazing staff that we have here at Colonial Williamsburg and the variety of skills and talents that they possess. And because we were able to reach so many people, at first just via Facebook live streams, we realized, as we knew, but became absolutely evident during the pandemic, that there are a lot of you out there who would like to engage with Colonial Williamsburg, whether or not you have the opportunity to be here on site, or to be here on site as often as you might like to be. And so because there were so many of you tuned in, engaging with our programs, the decision was made to keep online programming going and to make it a priority. And so here we are, still delivering online programs, although we've expanded a little bit in terms of how we're delivering those programs. Our general public programs are offered on Facebook Live still, but also on our website and also on YouTube, so that if you have a preference for a platform to engage with our live online general public programs, you can catch those on any of those platforms. And as Beth also mentioned, we pivoted for our teachers and students as well. We knew that in the pandemic, when teachers didn't know what they were going to do online the next day, whether they were going to be in the classroom or online the next day, that online resources were going to be absolutely necessary for them. So for a long time, there has been an educational resource library available to teachers online as part of our Colonial Williamsburg website, administered by the Teacher Institute staff that Beth mentioned earlier. And we opened it up so that everyone could access it, not just teachers. And we have continued to add material via those video delivery platforms that teachers could use for the classroom as well. We also did pivot and put Teacher Institute online. And so for the last 2 summers, we've been able to engage new teachers that had never been to Colonial Williamsburg before. And we were able to speak to a lot more folks via this digital medium than were able to travel on site physically for Teacher Institutes in the past. And so we really want to continue growing this outreach to all of these audiences that are not able to come on site here to Colonial Williamsburg, or to come on site on a consistent basis, to also share some of those things here at Colonial Williamsburg that we can really only share to large groups of people via a digital medium because they're just not available to the general public on a regular basis. And we feel like this is incredibly important, and we know all of you, hopefully, but especially teachers, are really looking for help in this area. We know that teachers are in need of strategies in order to bring history to life, make it relevant for their students, and to tackle some of the really difficult subjects in our history that our interpreters tackle here every day at Colonial Williamsburg. Our interpreters also do a really good job of bridging the present to the past and making those connections. And what we really want to do as we grow our online program offerings and our digital resources that are available online for students, for teachers, and for all of you, is to make those relevant connections and to show people that history has meaning, and that history, as we're practicing it here at Colonial Williamsburg, as Beth referenced, is an ongoing practice that we research actively so that what we're sharing is accurate information. And so we are very excited about what we get to do here, and we just want to share our mission with as many people as we possibly can.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you, Beth. Both of you have so much passion as you talk about our work here at Colonial Williamsburg. During this period, we also wanted to allow time for questions. So I'd like to ask the first question. Does CW fill a void in American education? And if so, how?
I think we'll tag team this. We'll tag team everything. Yes, I think it does. I think that the uniqueness of what happened here in the 18th century is something that is not was not typical in any other, even colonial city. It is where these great minds of the Enlightenment were meeting and were thinking, and it happened over a 10-year plus period. It just didn't happen overnight. They're very inspired by the enlightened thinkers that are happening. But as I said, daily lives were being lived while these conversations are happening. And when they go to vote for independence on May 15th, 1776, it was monumental for Virginia to say, hey, we want our independence from the largest, wealthiest country in the world. We're going to claim our independence, and we're going to form this country that is based on ideas that had never been done before. Any time you see a nation being formed up until this point, it's because of dominance. It's because we want more land, we want more resources. This was about ideas, and it really is quite unique. And you know, we talk a lot about the tensions, and that's something that our Teacher Institute team uses when they're teaching and preparing their lesson plans, are the tensions that were inherent at the founding of our nation. Why don't you talk a little bit more about that, because it's so unique to this community that it's so important that we talk about it with all Americans.
Sure. So we do have an incredibly unique opportunity to show an entire community, first of all. And as Beth talked about, there were people that you've likely heard of that were able to have the time and privilege to think, to study and have these enlightened ideas. But we also know that about 52% of the population of the city of Williamsburg was enslaved, and that these folks are interacting on a daily basis. And so the resource itself is unique to have the whole community to represent. And if you saw the earlier live stream, which was about preservation, you know we've got a whole town to set the scene, which is unique. We also have these amazingly talented interpreters, whether they are simply speaking in third person or whether they are portraying actual people of the past, who really bring this to life in ways that are amazing and can really get through to people and develop empathy for people of the past in really unique ways. And as Beth mentioned, we do have a history as well in our education systems here at Colonial Williamsburg of addressing not only history and the tensions that were there in the 18th century in this town, but also how that history informs us today as citizens and how we can make decisions based on looking back at history and how things have played out in the past. That's really our roadmap as modern citizens to understand our country and the decisions that we need to make as citizens every day. And so I think bringing that perspective to the table, that everything we do here is relevant to our role as citizens today, is something else that Colonial Williamsburg does in a unique way.
Yes, I agree. And really almost everybody can see themselves in the past when they come here by how we represent the community, which I think helps bring relevance to a modern day visitor.
So that our future may learn from our past.
Oh,
very strong words.
Yep.
Very strong words.
Yep.
As we talk about this opportunity, another question, how do I bring CW content to my kids' school, the area I live in, my home? How do I take advantage of that?
I think that's a good thing for you to
All
answer.
right.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I will try to refrain from getting into too much technical nitty-gritty. But we are right now, the new content that is being built for students is right now all being deployed on a combination of our website at Colonial Williamsburg and social media sites. So I know you're probably not sending your kids to Facebook in school, but teachers can access those videos on YouTube or on our website currently. There is also the existing education resource library that Teacher Institute manages that teachers can use to get students access to some of those materials. But as you can see, I just named a whole lot of different places to go for our content. So one of the things that we're really looking forward to doing in the future, hopefully the near future, is to build a much better content management system so that it is much easier to find and use all of the vast resources that Colonial Williamsburg has available, because we do have existing resources and we want to continue making new resources to keep up with the educational needs of students today. So we're really hoping to build a nice, robust content management system to make it easy for everyone to access, especially students and teachers, all of this great content we're creating.
Thank you so much, Stacy, and thank you again, Beth. We are coming to the close of our time, which goes by so quickly with this live stream, but I do want to thank our viewers for joining us this afternoon, but I also hope that you will continue to join us throughout the day and also visit us on site as your schedule allows. This later today, we do have a 1 o'clock live stream, which we have it every week, Trades Tuesdays, which will feature our engravers for a discussion about period printed images. So please check that out. And we also encourage you to come back and visit with us for our final Giving Tuesday live stream at 4:30 p.m., where the live stream will focus on civic engagement, pursuing a more perfect union. My colleague Beth will be with me, as well as Cliff Fleet, our president and CEO. So again, want to thank you for visiting with us today. Please participate heartedly in Giving Tuesday and encourage your friends and your networks to also participate as well. Again, thank you for all you do to advance Colonial Williamsburg. Have a great afternoon.